I was hoping you guys would just take a few minutes and tell the folks out there, so we launched the Bankers Helping Bankers test pilot program, and it's the beginning of something that's going to be a whole lot bigger. I can't tell you any more than that yet. We'll tell you more later. But as this gets rolling, I mean, I just want to hear from the bank perspective of why you guys said, "Hey, I'll volunteer for that." I think it's a good deal.
Yeah, really, I'd be happy to tell you. To tell you like 2 seconds, just background on RiverBank, because I think that tells a lot about the story of really why we think that this is a really cool opportunity, and just great to kind of deepen our work together as well. But RiverBank was we're still relatively new by banking standards. We were founded in 2007, just under an idea that delivering banking services has evolved. It's changed, and we took advantage of that right from the beginning. So we are a true community bank focused on commercial business banking. And given our unique founding that we never had any branches, we were always going to deliver those services in a new way. It has put us in a pretty unique position that we've talked about a lot with you all, that we can really explore some of these opportunities out there that really maybe wouldn't be a perfect fit for a traditional community bank if you've built a large footprint of branches of which you deliver your services from. So given that exploration and original real founding and paying attention to how can we implement tech that our customers want, that has been at the focus since the beginning. We've also had some very high touch relationship aspects of that along the way. But now, given this opportunity, I would say this is exactly what's pretty core to our brand since the beginning. There are some companies out there doing some really cool stuff. And if you're a huge institution, that might not be the type of thing that you have the interest or resources or just ability to explore, whereas we are perfect for it. That's true to community banking of, what are the problems out there? How can we help solve those? And we've traditionally thought about that under the context of our customers, our borrowers, our depositors, and exactly who the bank serves. And this, I think, is an opportunity out there to also recognize that there are really cool companies who are delivering a product that the bank itself can take advantage of and make some huge improvements with, and we want to support that.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I was at one of the breakout sessions on FinTech at IBAT, and they talked a lot about things that we've talked a lot with them about. As far as we classify, like, FinTech's too big a word these days. Everybody's a FinTech, man. It's like, so we classify like FI FinTech as these are products that bankers would buy and purchase and put employment, into their institution, right?
But if you think about how high the regulatory bar is, right? I need to have 3 references on my core.
Yeah.
Likely they're in a peer group of some sort, right? And you think about all the due diligence, all the vendor management. It's pretty nasty. I mean, I would tell you guys from my experience, if I would call a vendor that's like really a vetted product, they probably have north of 100 installs. You're talking about a 10-year-old company typically, right?
Okay, so let me tell this great story. You're going to love this. So when you used to invite the regulators all the time to our conference, man, and
They don't like me.
They just kind of, Reg E, let me tell you about Reg E. It's like, we got that.
Yeah.
We're talking about how we change some things, make things better in the future. And Tanner asked this question. Do you know where baby FinTechs are born?
Yeah.
How
is a baby FinTech born if you need 3 references?
Right, man. It's a catch-22.
Yeah.
And so what was funny is everybody in that room, they're all product guys, and everybody knew it except the regulatory people. Right. And it was like, you're forcing people to enter the marketplace under, let's just say, not above the board,
right?
Whose paper gets carried on what and how we do that. And so if you've launched a product and I want to put that on my paper and take that experience through there, and you as the banker don't even really see what's happening here, he first has to get a relationship with me as a distributor. So we've got a really broken process that's in place. And so we saw that right off and was like, look, if we could get these products with the 3 references or 4 or 5 or whatever, right, and get this deeper and deeper into the process, it doesn't have to
together.
Exactly. Now we're actually in control of the delivery and distribution in the banking community. And to your point, Man, that was really smart. Hey, one of the things I also wanted to ask you about, this came across my desk yesterday, that you guys also had joined the Bass Association.
Right. Very cool.
Looking good. Why'd you do that?
Yeah, so again, community banking being so relationship driven, we recognize again the relationship's not just us to the customer, but now it's us to you guys.
Right.
It's understanding who can support us to get us to where we want to be, and what the end result is for community banking to continue to thrive. But it can't live in the same vacuum that it's always been. It's dramatically changed. And the excitement for us is that we want to deliver what makes community banking so special to the masses, but do so in the concept of what relationships make sense versus what relationships don't make sense. And so I feel like that's why we joined the Bass Associations, because you guys know what we want to do. You know what makes sense and what doesn't make sense, and how to avoid those pitfalls or those compliance nightmares. And so for us, it's that strategic relationship to help drive our future to be successful. And we want to put our best foot forward, and to do that, it just makes sense for us to join the Bass Association.
I can't keep the smile off my face, you guys, because we all know what's coming here and the general public doesn't. There's going to be a part 2 to this discussion at a later date to kind of roll out some of the really cool stuff that RiverBank is doing. But
That's not fair, by the way, guys.
right.
Like, this cool stuff, right? You got all these secrets I can't talk about them. I'm excited for you guys, man. I think everything you're up to
I
is
really
good
am
stuff.
super fan of what you're trying to do and the way you're going about it. Man, to really embrace the bankers helping bankers experience. A lot of people are like, what is it? What do we do here? There's so many little pieces to this ecosystem that we put together. You guys have tapped into. I get it. There's some ways we can use this way, and we can also use
and to
it
tap
that way.
the network, right? That was one of the things when we were all having those margaritas that you mentioned that just grabbed me. The idea of how do I become, more and more a part of, how do I help other bankers find other bankers that have done this that might be willing to help us, right? Sort of the knowledge share. And we're like, yes, that's how we think about it too. So it's cool to see guys like you guys that have been around, done these things before, and are willing to give back and also to be helped, right? It's sort of it's a humble and it's a giving message. I think that's real positive, man. We all got to work together better.
Yeah, that's the primary reason I wanted to talk to you guys today, was to let everybody know about your bank, what you're doing, and
somebody to keep an eye on, right?
Yeah, this is one of those banks that I'm like, come back and see me in a couple of years, and you're going to go, holy smoke, how'd they do all these numbers? How'd this work? You guys leaning into this with bankers helping bankers, the Bass Association, the parts and pieces like test pilots. These are things not everybody's really captured into yet. And you're on the cutting edge of what this is going to become one day. Hats off to you all the way.
Well, I will just, if I can jump in there, I think that there's so many similarities in terms of what we're doing with you all, Bass Association, Bankers Helping Bankers, and Test Pilot. Number one, it's an incredibly, I'll say, just welcoming process and group. Everybody's wanting to really pick each other's brains, and that's been very helpful for us as we're exploring this process. And certainly to you both, you've really championed that idea. But you also get a pretty unique opportunity. We're at call it ground floor, or however you want to describe that. But you kind of get the option here of, do you want to come in a couple of years in when you're in the middle of that real challenge of, do you have that 100 customers? Have you been through all the pitfalls? And yes, you can certainly do that. And that's probably a pretty conventional way of exploring some sort of new piece of technology, business line, product offering, whatever you would offer and add additional value to your customers. Or you get what we feel like is a really unique opportunity to say, no, we could help build that. If we're looking to add an additional tool for our customers, then there are great FinTech companies out there that are looking to work directly with financial institutions. And we're able to say, here's the challenge that we have. And here's what we're trying to build and solve for. And if you guys are looking to do the same thing, or if we can help steer that ship, then we want to do so. It's really do you want to look at something that is 2 years later and maybe has missed exactly how it can add value to you, or would you rather be that really partner up front to say, yeah, you guys are doing exactly what we're trying to solve for. We'd like to help you. You'd like to help us, and let's build it together. And I feel like we have this not only in this group, but certainly in the test pilot program already. What we've seen is those companies that are out there looking for, we want to work directly with the banks so that we bring a product that has value.
do that.
Yeah.
And those
at
niche
FinFiz,
things.
You know, for years, we catch early companies that whether they're FI FinTech or whether they're true FinTechs that need a BaaS bank. But we catch them early. There's a number of reasons why, but in that process, you know, everybody I know in the business likes to think they're pretty good at picking a winning horse. We're pretty good at picking a winning horse. And so we take these guys, look at what they're doing, if they're repeat offenders, second time they've done this, or
That's always my number one,
or
man.
what's the, you know, another thing we do is we use our data to figure out, you know, what are the hottest selling products? Where's the demand? So there's a lot of times there's investment in.
Core is a great
Just
example,
real quick,
right?
this is so
There's
cool.
not enough core deals. I wouldn't want to invest in that company, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So when you have consumption versus investment in, sometimes those things don't really jive. We're measuring consumption and investment and seeing where the holes in the marketplace are and where the real purchasing is being done. So when somebody comes along with a product that we go, look, that's an area that we think that the bankers are definitely on board with this one. Here's what they're doing that's unique. This is why we think they'll work. Here's the distribution path of integrations for these guys. What they need now, let's run through a little compliance gig. And we do all that with IBAT. And then when we get finished with that, we send them out to the test pilot bank. So they're not like green as a stick when they get there. And then you guys can say, look, we're going to put this through our little paces, you know, the money flow pieces and that kind of stuff internally. You can even use fake money to run these things out. But we genuinely put this into a position where it's ready to go to market. And then when this thing comes up and says, hey, this is bankers helping bankers. I don't want to say vetted, but you see what I mean, that it's gone through the banks, it's gone through us, it's gone through this whole process, compliance testing, all that kind of thing. Now, this is the spot where that's really hard to get there. And
Look,
that's where everybody in the company pieces fail, but that's where the bankers need them to be. And you're getting them there.
Just cut the BS, man. If they can get through me and they can get through Chris,
We're done.
we're done.
That's it.
Right? We're kind of a tough crowd.
You guys
We've done
are.
a lot of this stuff. So
Y'all are.
Yeah, and I think that's the unique thing about the test pilots is the benefit of it is an incubator for success. You know, you want us to be successful. You want the fintech to be successful. And how do you do that in a marketplace that sometimes is just unknown? It's unknown to the bank. It's unknown to the fintech. And that's what I think is really beneficial for us. Is like, this is the proving ground. You know, so if we get it maybe not 100% correct, now we have plenty of time to pivot and adjust and make those changes before it gets out to the masses. So the fintech's successful, we're successful, and you're right, it's a vetting process, but it's a vetting process so we can thrive. And that's what I like about it the most is, again, we want the same thing, community banking to succeed, to be fruitful for all those that come to the table, because again, there's a strong legacy in community banking and we want that legacy to grow, but we recognize, and I can say this because I'm from Texas, right, is the frontier is plentiful. And it's going to be amazing to see what we do. And really, I think others are going to want to be on board with that same process. And we get to share in that focus. How do we do it? How do we get there? And I think that's the value add of you guys is you know how to help us get there. And we're super excited about the whole process.
yeah, and I think there's a shifting tide right now where the rest of us see that we're not just sitting here waiting for folks to bring us wonderful, perfect solutions.
Yeah.
We're all getting our hands dirty and helping them too. Right. I mean, they don't know all of our side of the world as well as we do. Right. And so hopping in there and helping these guys get through and work through all the check boxes, that's part of the process.
Big
too.
shout out to Capture Risk. Sham has created a really cool product there. That's probably our first primary product to be rolled through test pilots.
Well, Chris was at FinTech Forum when Christy from IBAT, she'd done a big review on those guys. And she stood up in front of the room and she's like, look, just let me take 2 minutes, tell you what these guys are doing. It's very complicated, right? And she walked through all the parts and pieces. And there's like 3 bankers raised their hand. And somebody in the back was like, shit, sign me up. I'm in, right?
Probably him.
Right. Which is a great example, right, of how you have things that not everything is where your focus is, right? But hanging out with you guys, you got a pretty distinct focus. And so there's things that come across the desk through test pilots. It's like, that's exactly the kind of thing I want to be early on.
Yeah, look, how we feel about misinformation.
Huge fan. Love it.
Surveys are bullshit. We don't really like misinformation. and really what's going on here, guys, is there are very few what I would call true accelerator incubators. Everybody hates those words anymore. Find a cool word to fit that.
Yeah.
And so you got FI FinTech that just has been ignored. And then you have FinTech that they come out of these things nobody, the product doesn't even work.
Right.
You know, it hasn't gone through the money through. So there's not, we need the serious people in the room to make sure the fintech products are vetted, the money flow works.
And to get them in the room early.
Yes. And then on the FI fintech products, the products that for the bankers, we need them vetted by bankers. And also,
and
who
almost
knows, man,
built,
but here's the
right?
cool part. You might be the guy that gets the next Encino first, right? So there's some cool things there. We try to eliminate the risk as much as possible. You've got some things and some time requests that we make of you guys, and you're fulfilling that. And that's so cool. And then the other thing is important for everybody to know, there's the ejection seat when you're a test pilot. You know, it's a hat. I just don't like the feel of this thing. I want to walk away. No hard feelings, man.
I look at it like, let's hammer down on the accelerator to get to testing, and then know that we got our hand on the ejection seat before we go to market and push it to
Right.
customers, right?
That's
I
it.
think we traditionally, is in the banking side, when we're vetting out products, there's no ejection seat concept. Like I mean, think about buying a core, right? That's not something we're just going to see how it goes, right?
Right.
I mean, this has to go.
Isn't there a market?
Right. And so I think being able to get in there early and play around with things, see how things go. And really, that to me, it's like the outcome is to get to an internal testing environment. The outcome does not have to be go live in market, right? That's the hopeful outcome.
But it takes courage, I think, for bankers like yourselves to step up and do something like this.
But it's also the right environment for us to do so. You know, exactly what you're describing is I don't necessarily mean to say non-committal, but what you're describing is that we can offer our opinion, our assistance, our expertise to a product that's out there that we just quite frankly connect with. And if it doesn't work in the end, then we've still been able to add quite a bit of value. And banks are good at that. We've been doing that for a long time. If you're truly a relationship-based community bank, you've been doing that for a long time on a borrower and loan relationship. You might not be able to actually do that deal at the end of the day for a variety of reasons. But if it is a customer that you really value and want to work with, then you have a vested interest in it. And you want to say, like, you know, I will do every single thing that I can to make sure that we can work with you and that you are the right customer for RiverBank. And now we get to do that on the product set side. And exactly the conversations you guys have already set up, they're taking on some pretty big challenges, some pain points in the commercial banking, community banking world. And to know that there's really nimble, cool companies out there that are saying, like, yeah, we recognize that that's a huge pain for you guys. Like, here's our product set that's addressing that. Yeah, we should take the opportunity to say, like, we could benefit by that in the end. But along the way, like, we can offer that guidance and that commentary of, like, here's what a bank is, here's how they're going to use your product. And here's where they're going to have some pitfalls. And these are the hurdles that they're going to try and get over. If you can address those, you got something.
Tell you what, Mike and Chris, there's a lot of bankers out there that owe you guys. And on behalf of them, thank you. I appreciate it. They appreciate it. I tell people, you know, bankers helping bankers, our mission to save community banking, period, nothing less. And we're going to do that through processes like this. And I tell everybody that one day when banks take over their own destiny and technology, they'll look back on these moments as, hey, that's how it got started. That was pretty little clever little baby steps that we took. But it wouldn't happen without bankers like you stepping up to help other bankers. And just, man, there's not enough good words for guys like you. Appreciate you.
Hey, we're glad to be on the journey with you all. And like I said, the good thing is we know it's not your first rodeo. And so we're excited to not get bucked off out of the gate, right?